Hello everyone and welcome to my Soap Twist 24 channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before we begin, please hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Katie Logan, with her strong mind and even sharper intuition, had always been able to see through the polished veneers of the Forrester family and its orbit. Luna, the young woman currently incarcerated, was not just another victim of the town's never-ending power struggles. She was a victim of circumstance, a pawn in a game set up by individuals who thrived on betrayal and ambition. Katie knew the truth, or at least enough of it to see that Luna did not belong in prison. The accusations against her, a convoluted web of fraud and dishonesty, were too convenient, too closely linked to the goals of those who stood to benefit from her downfall. Katie's heart, although being hardened by years of survival in a world of beauty and materialism, could not bear the thought of crushing an innocent soul. Katie made the decision to act late one night, while she sat alone in her poorly lit apartment, a single lamp creating long shadows over the room. She had studied over the case files she had secretly obtained, her connections in Port Charles's underbelly proving beneficial once more. The evidence against Luna was thin at best, circumstantial, bolstered by hearsay and far too many coincidences. However, in a town where money and influence trumped truth, scant evidence was sufficient to imprison someone. Katie's fingertips caressed the borders of a snapshot she had tucked away. Luna, smiling softly, her eyes full of unquenched hope. Katie had made up her mind after seeing that vision. She would take Luna out. Even for Katie, the plan was ambitious. Breaking someone out of prison was not an easy task, and the stakes were enormous. Exposure might cost her everything, her reputation, her freedom, and her carefully planned life. But Katie had never shied away from a fight, even when the odds were stacked against her. She'd spent weeks building the groundwork, requesting favors from acquaintances she'd rather forget, those who operated in the gray areas between legality and lawlessness. A guard with a gambling debt, a maintenance worker with a grudge, and a hacker who owed her a favor a decade ago. Each piece of the puzzle was carefully put. The night of the escape was moonless, with a thick veil of clouds that appeared to conspire with Katie's plans. She went through the prison's perimeter like a ghost, her dark garments disappearing into the shadows. The guard she had bribed off had left a side gate unlocked, as promised. Her heart hammered with adrenaline, not dread, as she realized there was no turning back. Inside, the prison was a maze of frigid concrete and flickering fluorescent lighting. Katie had remembered the whole layout, including every corridor and camera blind spot. She didn't carry any weapons since they were too dangerous, but her mind was her most powerful tool, and it was keen as a razor. Luna was alone, which complicated but also simplified the strategy. Solitary confinement reduced the number of eyes, but it also increased security. Katie had timed the guard rotations to the second, sneaking into the cell block during the brief period when the night shift changed. The air was thick with the odor of bleach and misery, and Katie's boots made no sound as she went. She approached Luna's cell, her fingers quivering slightly as she worked the lock with a tool she'd obtained from some less than savory acquaintances. The door creaked open, and there was Luna, coiled on the tiny mattress, her face pallid and drawn, her eyes wide with surprise. "Katie?" Luna's voice was a whisper, weak but full of incredulity. "What are you?" "No time." Katie interrupted her, her tone strong but not harsh. "We are leaving. Now." Luna paused, her body tensing as if she couldn't believe this was happening. But something in Katie's eyes, furious and relentless, convinced her. She nodded, leaping to her feet, her prison-issued jumpsuit flowing loosely over her body. Katie handed her a dark hoodie to conceal the bright orange cloth, and they proceeded quietly and quickly along the corridors. Every step was a gamble, and every shadow represented a potential menace. The hacker had turned off the cameras for exactly 6 minutes, and Katie's internal clock counted down the seconds with ruthlessness. They arrived at the side gate with seconds to spare, slipping into the night as alarms began to sound in the distance. Katie's automobile was waiting for her, hidden in a wooded area just outside the jail walls. Luna climbed into the passenger seat, her breath coming in shallow gasps, her hands shivering as she grabbed the seat's edge. Katie did not look at her. Her gaze was fixed on the road ahead, her hands firmly on the wheel. They drove in quiet, the only sounds being the engine's hum and the occasional cracking of dirt under the tires. The safe home was a modest cabin hidden deep in the woods, far from Port Charles and its prying eyes. It was a spot Katie had kept hidden from even those closest to her, a relic of a time when she had to disappear herself. The cottage was modestly furnished, but it was loaded with enough supplies to last several weeks: canned food, bottled water, and a generator humming silently in the shed. Luna staggered inside, her knees wobbly, her gaze darting around, as if expecting the walls to turn against her. "You're safe here," Katie continued, her voice lower but still authoritative. "No one knows about this location. Not the Foresters, not the cops, not even Bill." Luna slumped into a shabby couch, her hands clutching in her lap. "Why are you doing this?" she inquired, her voice barely above a whisper. "You don't know me." "Not really." Katie did not respond straight away. She was busy checking the windows and making sure the drapes were drawn tightly. The fact was that she didn't fully understand why she was putting so much at danger for Luna. Perhaps it was the injustice of the situation, the way the system chewed up the innocent while the guilty sipped champagne at galas. Perhaps it was the recollection of her own conflicts when she was forced into a corner with no one to help her out. Perhaps it was something simpler, more human, a need to believe that one good deed could shift the scales in a society so often inclined toward evil. "I know enough," Katie eventually stated, turning to face Luna. "I understand you do not deserve to be in there. And I know I can't stand by and let them destroy you." Luna's eyes welled up with tears, but she blinked them away, her jaw clenching. "They will come for me. You are aware of this. They'll come for you too." "Let them try," Katie replied, a ghostly smile spreading across her lips. "I've been dodging wolves my whole life." The days that followed were a careful balance of prudence and survival. Katie taught Luna the safe house's rhythms, when to run the generator, how to ration supplies, and which windows to avoid. She handed her a burner phone with only one number entered in, to be used in an emergency. Luna, still shaken but becoming more stable, began to open up, giving pieces of her experience. She discussed her dreams, her faults, and the people who had used her as a stepping stone on their path to prominence. Katie listened, not out of sympathy, but out of admiration for the courage it needed to persevere when the world turned against you. Outside, the world was chaotic. News of Luna's escape spread like wildfire, covering every channel in Port Charles. The Foresters, with their unlimited riches, pressed the authorities for answers. Katie's name hadn't been mentioned yet, but she knew it would be soon. She had done an excellent job of covering her traces, but no one was immune. Not in this town. Each night, Katie sat by the cabin's little fireplace, the flames casting flickering shadows on her face while she plotted her next move. Luna needed more than just a place to hide. She needed a path out, a new life away from those who wanted her silenced. Katie's contacts were working on forging documents and creating a new identity, but it would take time. They didn't have the luxury of time. One evening, as the wind howled outside, Luna sat across from Katie, her hands wrapped around a mug of tea. "I don't know how to thank you," she replied, her voice firm for the first time in days. Katie shook her head and stared into the flames. "You've given up so much for me." "This is not about gratitude. It's about doing the right thing. You're not the only one who's been confined in this place," Luna frowned, realizing the gravity of Katie's words. "You've also lost something, haven't you?" Katie's attention did not stray from the flames. "We all lose something eventually. The idea is not to let it define you." The weeks passed, each day a delicate thread holding their tiny refuge together. Katie kept Luna hidden, only moving her when absolutely necessary, always at night and under cover of darkness. She watched the news, the whispers on the street, and the movements of the Foresters and their associates. Every knock on the cabin door, Every rustle in the woods made her nervous, yet she never showed Luna her anxiety. She could not afford to. One night, as winter approached and the air became harsh with frost, Katie received a message on her burner phone. It was cryptic but clear. Her contacts had the documentation ready. A new passport, a new name, and a ticket to life after Port Charles. But there was a catch. They had to meet in person, and the meeting location was perilously close to the city. Katie considered the hazards, her mind racing through all conceivable outcomes. It could be a trap created by someone who had figured out her involvement. However, it was also Luna's sole chance of freedom. She made her decision after seeing the young woman sleeping on the couch, her face calm for the first time since the escape. The meeting was scheduled for a decrepit warehouse on the outskirts of town, where shadows wielded greater power than light. Katie drove, with Luna in the passenger seat, her face disguised beneath a hood. The air between them was dense with hidden anxieties, yet neither spoke about them. When they arrived, the warehouse loomed like a lost relic, with rusting walls groaning in the breeze. Inside, Katie's contact awaited, a wiry man with eyes that saw too much. He handed her a manila envelope, the weight of which was both a relief and a burden. "Everything you need," he continued, his tone low. "But you'd better move quickly. They're closing in." Katie nodded and slipped the envelope into her jacket. She turned to Luna, about to signal their exit, when the sound of tires on gravel broke the calm. Headlights shone through the darkness, and Katie's heart sunk. They had been located. "Run," she said to Luna, pushing the packet into her hands. "There is a rear exit.
Go.
Don't look back." Luna halted, her eyes wide with fear. "How about you?" "I'll handle this," Katie responded, her voice firm. "Go." Luna bolted, sliding into the darkness as footsteps sounded nearby. Katie turned to face the attackers, her mind racing for an escape. She had no idea whether Luna would make it, if the paperwork would hold up, or if this was the end of her own journey. But when the figures came from the darkness, their looks recognizable and cruel, Katie stayed firm. She'd made her decision, and will see it through. In the days that followed, Port Charles was alive with rumors. Luna departed without a trace. Some claimed she had been apprehended, while others claimed she had slipped through the cracks, like a ghost in a world that would not forgive. Katie, too, disappeared from public view, her name murmured in hushed tones by those who knew her best. The forestas raged, the police investigated, but the truth stayed hidden in the shadows, where Katie had always thrived. Luna's wrists remained red from the restraints. When Katie took her out of the detention facility through the back door, Luna's hand shook in her own. That memory would not leave her now. "Are you cold?" Katie finally inquired, her voice shaking under the strain of the night. Luna did not look up. "I'm fine." The untruth lingered between them like a ghost. Katie realized she wasn't fine. None of them were. They drove till the city lights disappeared, leaving behind boundless fields and black trees blowing in the wind. The route led to a cabin that few people knew about. It belonged to Katie's father, and she hadn't been there in years. There was no cell signal there, no neighbors, and no interested eyes. It was the only location she could think of. When they arrived, Luna paused at the entrance. The cabin smelled of dust and pine, and its wooden walls groaned from the cold. Katie lighted a little lantern, and the weak light illuminated cobwebs, an ancient couch, and a forgotten fireplace. "You'll be safe here," Katie whispered quietly. Luna glanced at her with moist eyes. "Safe?" she repeated, as if the term had lost its meaning. "Katie, they're going to find out I am gone. They will come for me." "They'll come for you as well," Katie said, setting the lantern down and pushing calm into her quivering hands. "Let me worry about that." Luna's lips trembled. "You shouldn't have done this," Katie said, turning aside before tears welled up. "I could not leave you there, Luna. Not when I know you didn't do it." Silence returned. Only the storm outside spoke. Katie busied herself with building a fire, happy for anything to do. Luna sat on the couch and hugged her knees. Her face, once brilliant with laughter, now appeared hollow. She was too young to be carrying this level of worry. When the fire finally caught, the cottage was filled with a warm glow. For a little while it felt warm and normal. Katie sat alongside her, but Luna refused to meet her gaze. "They said I hurt him," Luna muttered abruptly. "They claimed I shoved him, but I did not." "I swear, Katie, I did not." Katie nodded. "I know." Luna turned to face the flames.
"He fell."
I attempted to help him. But when they arrived, they saw me, and no one listened. Her voice broke. They just decided I was guilty. Katie held out her hand. "You don't need to explain." "I believe you," Luna said, tears welling up in her eyes. Katie drew her close, holding her like a sister, a daughter. However, belief was not enough. The world outside was unconcerned about belief. It cared about evidence, power, and who could yell the loudest. And Katie realized she had just made herself an enemy of everything. Days have gone. The rain ceased, and the forest started breathing again. Katie delivered food and supplies every few days, taking care to alter routes to keep her movements quiet. At work, she pretended everything was normal, but her hands trembled every time Luna's name was spoken. The news portrayed Luna as a monster. Every report, headline, and rumor at Forrester Creations made the story worse. Katie watched the events unfold, her stomach twisted with remorse and horror. One evening, she brought Luna a little radio. Luna listened quietly as they discussed her escape, her violent tendencies, her likely accomplice. "They think you helped me," Luna finally replied, her voice nearly gone. Katie nodded. "I know." Luna turned off the radio. "You can still tell them the truth. You may say that I forced you. You could save yourself." "I already made my decision," Katie replied. Luna gazed at her intently, as if trying to understand why. But how could she? Katie didn't comprehend it herself. She simply knew that something inside her could not stand by and let an innocent person be destroyed. Nonetheless, the nights became darker. Luna began to experience dreams and woke up screaming. She dreamed of cell doors closing, people yelling her name in rage, and the man who had fallen, the man she couldn't save. Katie would rush to her side, whispering, "It's okay, you're safe," even if she wasn't certain it was real. One morning, Luna sat by the window, gazing out at the mist. "Have you ever regretted it?" she asked. "Regret for what?" "Saving me." Katie paused.
"No."
"Never." "But you've lost everything." Katie smiled faintly. "Not everything." Luna's gaze softened. She stretched out to take Katie's hand. "Then I will make it worthwhile." Somehow, weeks went into months. The world moved on, but the search for Luna continued. Her visage appeared on posters, papers, and chat shows. Every time Katie saw her photo, her heart tightened. She began to notice automobiles parking for too long near her house. She received anonymous calls and hung up when she answered. Someone was watching. One night, as she drove up to the cabin, she spotted new tire tracks on the gravel road. Her pulse quickened. She turned off the headlights and parked far away, walking the remainder of the way through the trees. Luna had already left the cabin by the time she arrived. The blanket was still warm. The door hung open. On the table was a message scribbled in quivering handwriting. "I couldn't let you keep risking everything for me. I am going to finish this. Do not come after me." Katie's vision clouded. She stumbled outdoors and called Luna's name, but her voice was swallowed by the jungle. But there was only one answer: the wind. She sought till morning, when her legs gave out. When the sun dawned, she discovered Luna near the riverbed, sitting on a rock with her feet dangling above the water. Katie approached carefully. "You scare me half to death." Luna did not turn around. "I can't continue hiding, Katie. You'll die because of me. Do you think I care about that?" Katie's voice crackled. Luna shook her shoulders. "I care about you. They won't believe me. They'll never stop." "Then we'll make them believe," Katie replied, moving in closer. "We'll find proof, There is no proof." Luna turned, her face smeared with tears. "He's died, Katie. And only I know what actually occurred." Katie knelt alongside her, grasping her arms. Then tell me everything. Luna shook her head. If I tell you, you'll hate me. I could never hate you. Luna stared at her, her eyes full of real emotion. It wasn't an accident. The words cut like a knife. Katie froze. What are you saying? Luna's lips twitched. He tried to hurt me. He would not stop. I pushed him away, but it was too hard.
He fell.
I did not mean to kill him, but I did. Katie sat down, breathless. The world tipped around her.